sidebar that's occurred as a result of the pandemic has been a requirement for support from the federal government with things like the CARES Act, providing relief for the industry while we were getting our feet under us in those first couple of months. What other legislative priorities do we have going forward, looking forward to 2021, assuming that the pandemic is brought under control? What are the other issues in front of us dealing with what could be a differently shaped federal government?
I have a view that, the privatization, which was a number of years ago, privatization was our hot topic. And we now have supreme evidence about how well that doesn't work in Canada. To remind people that now that they're going to have significant user fee increases because they don't have the income to support that privatized system. So I think we know that there's going to be pressure on all counts in government for finding user fees or taxes to kind of fill in some of the expenses. And I think we have to be vigilant in our world to say, we know that there's going to be needs. We have to recognize that general aviation has been a big part of employing, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, $250 billion of economic output. So we're going to have to be, I think, in a little bit of a defensive mode, is my view, as new sources of income and revenue are going to be expected at every level.
And Mark, I would piggyback on that one. We carefully watch what's happening over in Europe, and each one of our associations is deeply involved in the sustainability argument, which I think is one of the biggest threats to our industry right now, just because it's easy to put a target on our back. And if you look at what happened in France recently, there was a commission that went forward and recommended to President Macron in France and said, general aviation has no value added to society, period, dot. And I was just astonished when I heard that from our Brussels team. And my incoming chairman is Nicolas Chabert from Dyer, and he reaffirmed that. And we are going to have to get out in front of this to make sure that even though we are such a small contributor to greenhouse gases, it's easy for everybody to point at us. And I'm very proud to work with my buddies here, and we're taking this on full board because it's going to head over on this side of the Atlantic more and more. And so we've got to do all those things of pushing technology, of making our point, to being out there and talk about the utility of this industry. And we cannot rest at all.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, Pete. And it's one of the reasons that we're collectively working so hard to promote sustainable aviation fuel and to focus on all of the things that we have historically done, including the use of composite technologies, adoptions of winglets, adoption of GPS, all of the things that we have done to consistently reduce our environmental footprint. But we're looking for step functions now. And I think sustainable aviation fuel is one of the keys that we are all working on. But we're also seeing, tremendous advances in electric propulsion, hybrid propulsion, perhaps even hydrogen propulsion at some point. In a lot of ways, this is a really exciting time for our industry with drones, advanced air mobility, supersonic, commercial space launch, all of these things. But we are going to need to fight. We're going to need to promote a strong and diverse workforce. We're going to need to make sure that we are proactive on sustainability. And we've got to make sure we've got public support, the support of policymakers and opinion leaders, which means our public image is very important going forward as well.
I will add to that. We tend to speak primarily among ourselves because aviation people like to hang around aviation people. When I talk to friends who are outside the industry, and I've got a couple that go back to high school, and they will poo-poo the idea of climate change. And my response is, we've got this multi-billion-dollar industry providing transportation for industry leaders that has stepped forward and said, enough. whatever we contribute to climate change in terms of carbon emissions, we're going to deal with it. And when I sent them the links to the sustainability summit that was held a couple of weeks ago, the response was, I guess this is real, and here's an industry that's taken a leadership position. So I want to just take a minute to congratulate all of you for being involved in that, and all the people that supported it, because it will have reach beyond just our own industry and beyond just Congress and the influencers there. So thank you.
Well, I would just add, Gil, Tony Lefebvre just briefed this morning to our board. We heard the announcement about SFO going totally to SAF, and he just emphasized, he goes, this is something he did not expect, the overwhelming response to this, which to me proves what we, my buddies here, what we have all been saying, that, it's just gathering momentum. And we as an industry, general and business aviation, we really can lead on this, because there are companies coming out of the woodwork that say, I want it, where can I get it? And that's why what we've been doing with Book and Claim, what we've been doing with working with our friends in the oil and gas industry, as well as our distributors, to be able to figure out how we can do this and spread the word. And it's now, we had Heinrich Holloway from the European Commission with us this morning on the conference call, and he recognized what we as an industry are doing over in Europe. And he said, we are backing you all as much as we possibly can with what's called the Green Deal, not to be confused with the Green New Deal over here, but the Green Deal that the European Commission is doing over there. And the momentum is just building rapidly. So I couldn't be more proud of what we all are doing collectively together.
So the SAF coalition, we are working with members of Congress currently to try to get tax credits so that sustainable aviation fuel is on par with renewable diesel. Right now, the refiners can make more money doing renewable diesel and not taking the extra step to do sustainable aviation fuel. We need to fix that. So we are working on that. GAMA, NBAA, and NET are working on that together collectively through the SAF Business Aviation Coalition. And we had over 940 participants at the Sustainability Summit, which was phenomenal. That was just wonderful to hear, and we've had a lot of conversations with people since about it.